Again, encouraged to kill himself by his peers. And he did that. He went home one day to his grandmother's house, hanged himself in his grandmother's barn, and his mother found his body. I wrote about Billy Lucas on my blog, and I was very angry. And then I wrote about him again when his family had created a Facebook memorial page for him, where his friends and family could go and share their grief with each other. And the same children who had been bullying him in school showed up on that Facebook memorial page to celebrate his death in front of his parents and his friends and his family. And I wrote about that, and I was very angry. That's what I do. I get angry and I write. And somebody left a comment on the blog post, sidestepping my anger, and just addressed Billy Lucas and said, "I wish I had known you, Billy, and been able to tell you things get better. Rest in peace." That comment stuck in my head, things get better, because things do and things have, at a macro level and a micro level. You know, when I came out to my parents in 1981, telling your parents, your Catholic, conservative-ish parents, that you were gay didn't just mean that you were gay, that I was going to have boyfriends. It also meant telling my very Catholic, family-oriented, conservative parents that I would never marry, that I would never have children, that I could never be a Marine. And just in my life, just in a couple of decades' time, I am now married. I've been married for 17 years. I have a 14-year-old son, a grandchild that I gave my parents, that I adopted with my partner at birth. And now I can be a Marine. Not that I want to be a Marine, but I could be a Marine. So things have gotten better for me, but things have gotten better generally for most of us, in the macro level, in so many ways. And it's true of all my LGBT friends when we talk. We would talk about coming out to our families and their negative reactions. And then we knew, because we would meet each other's families, that our families had come around. And so I was thinking about this, things get better. And these kids, these Billy Lucases and Justin Abrams, growing up in rural areas and exurban areas, they don't know it. And not only don't they know it, they're denied information about it. LGBT kids are told that being gay, lesbian, bi, or trans as an adult is to live a sad and sinful and perverse life without love, without family, without friends. They are told that by their peers, sometimes told that by the media. They hear that in the megachurches they're dragged to on Sunday, and all too often and all too tragically, LGBT kids are told that by their own parents. We talk about the bullying of LGBT kids. LGBT kids are at 4 times greater risk of suicide. An LGBT kid whose family is hostile, whose family is homophobic, whose family bullies him, is at an 8 times greater risk of suicide. Family hostility doubles the already quadrupled risk of suicide. So I was thinking about that phrase. It really did stick in my head. Things get better. And these kids don't know it. And I was traveling in September of 2010 from college to college, as I do in the fall, doing Sounds of Love Live, a question and answer session where I basically undo abstinence education in 2 hours, which is my only superpower. And I was really upset reading about Billy Lucas, thinking about Billy Lucas, and upset that I was going from college to college when I really needed to be going from high school to high school. I really needed to be going from middle school to middle school. But I would never get permission, I would never get an invitation to speak in a high school or a middle school. I'm college-age material. And I would never get permission to speak to the LGBT kids who most need to hear from LGBT adults. Those kids whose families and parents are homophobic and bullying them. They believe that they can prevent their gay children from becoming gay adults by expressing their hostility, by denying them information, by denying them support gay role models. And those parents would never allow me to speak to their kids. And I was thinking about that. I was on the train to JFK, as I often am, and thinking about things get better, they don't know it, I wish I could tell them, I wish I could go to a high school, I wish I could talk to these kids whose parents would never allow me to talk to their kids. And it just occurred to me in a flash that in the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook era, I was waiting for permission I no longer needed. I was waiting for an invitation that I no longer required. that I could look into a video camera, I could speak to a Billy Lucas via YouTube before he harms himself, and let him know that it gets better. And I could encourage, because I'm fortunate enough to have a platform in my column and my podcast, encourage other LGBT adults to do the same. Because I am aware that not all LGBT adults look like me and Terry, want the same things we want, have the same life experiences or backgrounds that we've had. So this thing that I wanted to call the It Gets Better Project would only work if other people joined us and did it too. I called Terry from the airport, and I said, I have this idea. I want to do this It Gets Better project. I want to record a video. I want to share our joy, because that's the lie, that gay people are miserable and unhappy and unloved, and that their families will never accept them. That is the lie that too many LGBT kids believe. And so we needed to share our joy with them, to let them know that that lie is indeed a lie. Because I believe that when a 14 or 15-year-old queer kid kills himself or herself, part of what they're saying is that they can't picture a future with enough joy in it to compensate for the pain they're in now. So I said to Terry, I want to do this. And Terry, who I've been with for 17 years, and I know pretty well, said, yeah, you should totally do that. And I said, no, I want to do it with you. Terry is an intensely private person who married a memoirist, which was a mistake. I've written 2 books about our life together, The Kid, about our decision to adopt, The Commitment, about our decision to marry. And in all these years we've been together, he has never once appeared on television, never given an interview, never allowed for the release of a photograph of him or of our son. He is out of step with his generation. He is very, very private and leads a very private life, tethered to me. And I expected him to say no. And I said, you know, I want to share my joy, and I don't think I can do that if you don't do this video with me, because you are so much of the joy in my life. And there's enough videos of me online running my mouth alone. This one, I think, will only have the impact I want it to have if we do it together. And he agreed. He agreed instantly. He was the first person who recognized the power of this idea. The second person was our friend Kelly, a videographer, who we called and sort of bumbled through what the idea was, and she said, I'll be right over, and brought her video camera and tripod. And people talk about mine and Terry's video as the first It Gets Better video, the first video, the video that started what is now a very large movement. And it's not the first video. There's actually a video, the first video, first It Gets Better video, that no one's seen except me and Terry and Kelly. We recorded that first video and then we watched it together. It was 15 minutes long. And after watching it, we looked at each other and said, any gay kid who wasn't suicidal before he watched that video is going to be suicidal after he watches that video. Because we got it backwards. We spoke of our experiences of bullying, the bullying I had endured, the bullying that Terry had endured, which was much more severe, for 14 minutes. And we spoke for a minute of our joy in our lives together and everything that we've grown to love about our lives. And that was exactly backwards. We don't need to tell bullied gay kids what it's like to be bullied. They know. They're being bullied. They're going through it. So we tried again. We recorded a second video where we spoke for a few minutes, for a moment, about the bullying that we had endured, to let these bullied kids know that we know what it's like, that we were there, and that we made it. And then we shared our life, our journey, how we got from being those bullied 13, 14, 15-year-old queer kids to the gay, happy, relatively happy, adult life has struggles and pain, but the happy gay adults that we are now. And that is what so many LGBT kids lack. One of the early criticisms of the project can be summed up with this question: what about other kids who are being bullied who aren't gay? I recognize their pain and their need, and I hope that many of them have taken comfort from the It Gets Better project. I know many have. We've heard from so many. When the It Gets Better project went viral, and I was on TV every 10 minutes for a week talking about it, I called my older brother Billy to tell him that I remembered that he was much more viciously bullied in school than I was. We are close in age and we went to the same schools. And he was very brutally bullied in the school where I was bullied, but worse. He had it so much worse than I did. And I called him to say, I remember that you've had it worse. Billy is straight, and was straight then, and is straight now, and ever will be straight. He was bullied because he was smart. He was a brainiac. He screwed the curve on every test. He typed his homework. This was the 70s. Kids did not type their homework in the 70s. And he was beaten up, and he was brutalized, and he was, what was done to Billy was appalling. And I called him just to say, I'm on TV talking about what I went through, and I don't want you for a moment to think I don't remember that it was worse for you when you're straight. And he said something typically Billy. He's an English professor at Northwestern University now. Typically Billy, very smart, very insightful. He said, yeah, I had it worse. I had mom and dad, and you didn't. And that is the difference for LGBT kids. That is the need that we created the It Gets Better Project to fill, to address. Kids who are bullied because of their race, because of their class, which is a kind of bullying that's rarely acknowledged, because of their religion. They go home to parents and family members of the same race, class, and religion that they can open up to about the bullying they faced. At the end of the day, when I was being bullied, I went home to straight parents that I was afraid of, that I couldn't tell what was going on. I would go home and Billy would tell my parents what had happened to him, and my parents would go to school and scream and yell and defend Billy, but I would never tell them what was being done to me because I didn't trust that they would love me still if they knew that I was being bullied for being gay. I didn't want to invite any scrutiny. I didn't want to risk a conversation about whether I was gay or wasn't gay. So I didn't have my parents the way Billy had his parents. And that is all true, tragically true for so many LGBT kids. They don't have those adults in their life. The kid is bullied because of his race, because of his class, because of his faith. Goes home to parents of the same race, class, and faith. Even if they don't talk about it, these parents are living proof that you can get through it. Also, they can offer their advice about how you navigate that kind of bullying, how you move through the world as a racial minority or as a religious minority successfully. The LGBT kid doesn't have that gay role model in the home, and all too often has a heterosexual homophobe in the home who is bullying him or her. So we put up our first video, that second video, actually, hoping we would get 100 videos. That was our goal. We wanted 100 It Gets Better videos. We figured if we got to 100, we'd get a little bit of everybody in there. We wanted bisexuals, we wanted trans, we wanted gay, we wanted African Americans, we wanted Asian Americans, we wanted first-generation immigrants, we wanted everybody, so that every queer kid who came to the site could find somebody who looked like her. Not that a queer kid can't take good advice from somebody who doesn't look like her, but we wanted everyone to feel that they were there, and that people who had experienced what they had experienced and made it were reaching out to them. The first indication that we got that we were going to hit a few more than 100 videos was after it was just our first video up. I opened my computer, I'm not tech savvy, and so when we created our It Gets Better channel on YouTube, we used my email address as the email. And when I opened my computer that very first night, when it was just the one video at the It Gets Better Project's channel, just one video, everybody who liked it, everybody who sent an email, everybody who clicked it forward, that generated an email to me. And the emails were pouring in so fast, just 2 hours after our video went live, that they were cascading down my screen. And then my computer crashed. The first video came the next morning from a lesbian gamer recorded in her basement. We had 100 videos in about 24 hours. At the end of 4.5 days, we hit 600 It Gets Better videos. That number is significant because 600 is the maximum number of videos that you can post to a new YouTube channel. We felt obligated to watch each video submitted in its entirety before we posted it to the channel because we didn't want somebody to say the right thing for a minute and then go ex-gay bullying bigot for 8 minutes because we had not only invited LGBT adults to submit these videos, to create the videos, we had invited LGBT kids to come to the channel and watch them. So Terry and I, when the It Gets Better project was just the two of us, we felt we must watch each video in its entirety all the way through. Average length of the videos was 12 minutes. There were 600 of them in the first 4.5 days. For 4.5 days, we did nothing. We didn't eat, we didn't sleep, we didn't bathe. We did nothing but watch videos and sob our eyes out because so many of the stories were so heartbreaking and the triumph. People overcoming the bullying, people building a life and reconciling with their families if their families were homophobic. All of that was so moving and heartbreaking. And we just sat in our kitchen watching videos on our laptops, separate videos all day long, sobbing for 4.5 days. When we hit 600 videos, we put up a note that said, we've hit the maximum number of videos, we don't know what to do. Please keep submitting your videos. We're going to figure out what to do next. But in the meantime, we're not going to be able to post anymore. And we were very relieved that we couldn't post anymore because we wanted to take a bath and go to bed, which is what we did. The next morning, there was an email for me from Carol Chen, who's an engineer at Google, letting us know that they had backdated the creation of the It Gets Better channel at YouTube. You can only post 600 videos to a new channel. They backdated the creation of the It Gets Better channel to 2004, which meant we could post 5,000 videos. And so it was back to work. There are now 15,000 It Gets Better videos from all over the world, from all different kinds of people. There are It Gets Better videos that were recorded by Latino lesbian poets in the Bronx. I love her video in particular. Gabriel Rivera, she's also in the It Gets Better book. Her video begins with her saying, "I'm here to tell you it doesn't get better. What happens is you get smarter," which is Latino lesbian Bronx poet way of saying it gets better. We have videos from the President of the United States, from Hillary Clinton, from the Prime Minister of Great Britain, from the President of Finland. There are videos in Spanish, there are videos in Arabic, there are videos in American Sign Language. The goal, though, there are also now standalone It Gets Better projects in Vietnam, Australia, the UK, Chile, and there are It Gets Better projects being launched in 12 more countries. The goal, though, wasn't we want to have the biggest YouTube channel ever with 50,000 videos. The goal wasn't we want videos from Keisha and Lady Gaga and Ellen and the President. The goal was we wanted to save lives. And we have done that. We have heard from hundreds of LGBT kids. I just heard from one now backstage. We've heard from hundreds of LGBT kids who have taken hope from the project, who are hanging in there because of the project, and are alive because of the project. We tricked everybody who created a video. We didn't ask people to send us the raw video that then we would upload. We asked everybody who wanted to submit a video to create their own YouTube page with their own email address, like mine, on ours, and then send us the link and we would post their video. Everybody who created a video and uploaded it, you can go to thousands and thousands and thousands of videos, and you can read the comment threads on their videos, and you can see LGBT youth, some of them isolated, some of them bullied, some of them suicidal, reaching out for help, talking to the person who made the video, and getting the help, resources, referrals that they need. We know of one case where one of the people, Professor Peter Sprinkle, who created the video, is a pastor of divinity at Bright Divinity School and an ordained Baptist minister, got on the phone with a kid who was leaving comments on his YouTube video. And the kid was attempting suicide at that moment, and Peter Sprinkle called an ambulance and called the police and saved that kid's life. That has happened, not that dramatically, that sort of thing has happened again and again and again. What we did, you think of gay youth support groups. Most of those are in urban areas. The kind of kid who has a parent who would take their kid to a gay youth support group almost doesn't need that gay youth support group at all. The thing that really makes the difference in the life of a gay child is supportive family and friends. If your parents are taking you to a gay youth support group, you're good. You're in a good place. There are not gay youth support groups in Greensburg, Indiana, in Tehachapi, California, where Seth Walsh committed suicide, in rural Texas, where Asher Brown committed suicide at 13. And not every queer kid growing up is lucky enough to have the kind of parent who would take them to a gay youth support group if one existed in their town. The one letter that really stuck with me, one of the letters we got at the It Gets Better project, or it came to my personal email, was from a 15-year-old girl who come out to her parents as a lesbian and asked for their love and asked for their support and got the opposite. Her parents threatened to throw her out of the house. 40% of homeless teenagers are LGBT kids who were kicked out and thrown out after they came out that were outed to their families. 40%. Sexual minorities, less than 9% of the population, lesbian, gay, bi, trans adults, 9%. 40% homeless teenagers or queer kids who were thrown out. She came out to her family. They told her they were going to throw her out. They forced her into a reparative therapy program. They threatened to cut her off from contact with her siblings, not to pay for her education if she didn't take it back. And so she did what so many LGBT kids have done in those circumstances. She told her parents what they wanted to hear. She told them that she's not a lesbian, that she was just confused, that she had fallen for the international gay conspiracy. She's just a tomboy, and she thought that meant she must be a lesbian, but she's not. And so she's straight now. Straight identified with her parents. Up goes the poster of Justin Bieber in her bedroom, because it's as close as lesbianism. It's as close to lesbianism as she's going to get in the next 10 years. And she wrote to say that she was watching videos, watching It Gets Better videos on her phone, in her bed, under the covers, in her bedroom, in her parents' house in the middle of the night. And that they were giving her hope for her future. Hope that one day she would have peers who accepted her, who valued her, that she would have friends, co-workers, that she would find love, be able to build a family for herself, like so many of these other videos showed lesbian women doing. And to think, this kid does not have the kind of parents who would take her to a queer youth support group. We have delivered the queer youth support group to that kid. We are in that kid's pocket. 50,000 of us every day when she needs us. And she can reach out and not just watch a video passively, she can interact with people who created these videos. She can reach out and ask for and receive support. So, what the It Gets Better project did was it kicked down the front door of every house in the country. Houses all over the world. And what we've said to homophobic parents is this: we are going to talk to your kids whether you want us to or not. What we said to bigoted preachers and megachurches in the suburbs is we are going to talk to these kids, the queer kids in the pews that you are abusing spiritually. We're going to talk to them. We're going to tell them the truth, whether you like it or not. We said to teachers and administrators who are homophobic, we're going to talk to these students that you're failing, whether you want us to or not. And I've been saying that, a lot of goodwill has accrued to the It Gets Better project. It has a very touchy-feely, goo-goo aura. There's so much goodwill. There really is an upraised middle finger at the heart of the project. It is an aggressive act. And we are in this girl's bedroom in the middle of the night telling her the truth about her life as a lesbian and combating the lies that are being pounded into her head by her parents and the self-hatred that's being pounded into her head by her parents and by this therapist that she's being forced to see. We are in her room, whether you want us there or not. We are there now. But this kid who wrote me this email really broke my heart. I've been saying since the founding of the project, we are going to talk to your kids whether you want us to or not. And what she said in her email, which was so emotionally insightful, I think she's like my brother Billy in this way. She said that so many of the videos were made by people whose parents had the same reaction hers did, and whose parents have come around. She has seen videos made by lesbians, made by gay men, made by trans people, talking about how they were thrown out of the house, talking about how their family reacted so negatively when they came out. But then whose parents came around, whose parents are, in some cases, in the video with their children talking about how they came around. There are videos of parents apologizing to their children for the way they behaved when they came out. And so what this girl wrote to me was, every day she gets up, she goes downstairs, and she looks at her parents, and she loves them. Not for who they are right now, but for who they're going to be in 10 years. That the video has given her hope, not just for herself, these videos, the It Gets Better project, they've given her hope for her parents. So now, in deference to this girl's observation, I no longer say, we are going to talk to your kids whether you want us to or not. I say, we are going to speak to your children whether you realize right now you want us to. But you do want us to. You just don't realize it. One day you will realize that you wanted us to talk to your children, and you will thank us for talking to your children. At a time in their lives when you were failing them so spectacularly, we reached in. We crawled into bed with your daughter and saved her life. And not only saved her life, saved her affection for you. So it saved lives, the Kids Better Project. You know, it's also ended that old inhibition that Gabriel Ritello talks about. The spirit that we as LGBT adults can't speak to LGBT kids lest we be accused of recruiting. That was the deal for LGBT adults for 40 years in America. We went like this: you're ours to torture until you're 18. Once you're 18, you can do what you want. You can move away, you can come out, and if we haven't messed you up too badly, maybe you can build a life for yourself. There's just one thing you can't do as a gay adult. You can't talk to the kids